Welcome along to the first episode of In the Saddle With. It's a new series on the winner's Enclosure. I'm Chris Dixon. I'll be hosting the series, and over the next couple of weeks, I've opened up the contact book during lockdown to speak to some familiar faces from within the world of racing. And as you can see, for the first episode alongside me, we've got three-time champion jockey Silvestre De Sousa. Morning, Silv. How are you?
I'm very good, Chris. Yeah, thank you.
Good. Thanks for joining us for this new series. So bear with me as we go on the way through. Lockdown, strange old time. How have you been getting on?
Well, basically just surviving, At home all the time with three kids and the wife. But no, get on quite well. And at the moment, for the last week, and I've been about and it starts riding out, and it's just a frustrating for everybody. But it's just at the moment, the way the situation is, it's just not great for everybody,
No, of course it's not. I just suppose it's so different for you at the moment, isn't it? Like, we're at the early part of the year now. We should have just had the Guineas. We'd be looking forward towards the Dante, then the Derby next month, and Royal Ascot. Some of those races will take place still, but not in the same format, and we don't know where. At this stage of the season, you're usually flat out, and now you're flat out, but that's changing nappies and keeping your wife happy.
Yes, absolutely. And it just can do so much garden as well, and it's like I've been busy, but I've been busy at home, but and it's just frustrating, like they would say. Usually this time of the year, and I'm flat out working everywhere and trying to ride winners everywhere, and with the lockdown and with the virus and COVID-19, it just put everybody slow, to slow down, and just shut everybody down, did it? So.
Yeah, of course it has. Let's have a quick chat about, usually if this was a normal season, the flat season was now underway, what is your daily routine like? It'll be very early starts, and once evening racing starts, late nights getting home as well.
Yes, my day will start like about 6:30 in the morning. I have to be up on a horse and in the yards, and it's just plenty riding out, and race every day, and waiting for the night meetings coming up, But for me, like, I find very strange because I've been at home for 6 weeks, and can't do anything, but this time I used to be already with 30 winners, and for this time of the year, and it's just frustrating, like you can't do anything, but I hope we can get going sooner than later,
Yeah, absolutely. When things are ticking along as normal, what sort of preparation do you do ahead of a ride? Because obviously you'll be going around, as you say, 6:30, you're in a yard riding out, and that'll take up a chunk of your morning. Then it's travelling to the racecourse and getting on them. But sometimes you won't have ever sat on these horses. Do you go through the form? Are you a video watcher, or do you just get a feel on your way down to the start?
Yeah, sometimes you just get a feeling going down the stars, but usually for the people I ride, they've been very good. They always give a heads up and what they've been doing at home with the horse, and how the horse is getting on, what the ideal they have in their mind, what they want to see the horse do in the race, But half the time we have a feel going down to the post, but before that, if it's a horse I never rolled, and of course, I speak to the trainer before I ride, and then they give me all the ideas, and they give me the heads up what they like to see and how they will think the horse run, but if things have to be changed in the race, it's all down to me.
Yeah, of course. And last season, of course, was your first one having that retainer for King Power, which is a real good job to have landed. Lots of horses, lots of nice horses. And I guess that means that a lot of the time you can focus really, yes, you're still taking outside rides, but those King Power horses, you will often have sat on them at home, particularly the nice ones, before you ride them, and you'll really get to know them. That must be a help.
Yeah, of course, it's and it's a big help when and you sat on them at home, and the ideal, what's the character of the horse as well, what is the horse is like, and and so you go into the post already, what the feeling the horse have to give to you at home, and what they're capable to be doing in the race for you, you know. So
Yeah.
is a big help for sure, you know.
Yeah, and when you started that job with King Power last season, it got off to an absolute flying start because you'd not really long been back from Hong Kong, and you had an Ormond Stakes win on Miranda, I think it was. You won a classic trial at Sandown on Bangkok. You won a Bet365 mile on Beat the Bank. He went on to be just touched off at Royal Ascot. So you got off to an absolute flyer, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a fantastic start. You know, Andrew had his horses. I think my main winner was for Andrew Bowden, and you know, and so for Richard Hahn as well. But you know, was a good start. It looks like the horse was all already, you know, and I was busy in Hong Kong. I come back fit as well, and mind was good, and you know, it's everything. We had a great start, you know, and they bought such nice horses like, you know, Alistair Donald, the racing manager. You know, he's very on the ball, and you know, and we had a great start, and so I was looking forward for this year again, like, you know, because you know, we got a good number of horses, and they kind of very exposed horses, like, you know, they're nice horses, like.
Yeah, there's some real nice ones. And obviously you mentioned that great start that you had. There wasn't any Group 1s in there. You were just touched off on Beat the Bank in the Queen Anne, but you did get one at the back end of the season on Kipco British Champions Day in the sprint there. You won the Group 1 on Donghuan Triumphant. So that must have been a great way to cap last season.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Like we had Group 3s listed and Group 2s, and we just need one great one, like, you know, and come in the right time, like come in the right day as well. You know, that was the place, and, you know, the chairman was want to win, you know, before he passed away. And his dream was to have winners at Royal Ascot and group winners. And I was absolutely delighted when I rolled his first Group 1 win at Royal Ascot, like, especially in in the Champions Day, like, you know. So, but we was knocking on the door, like, in a couple of the big races as well. And, you know, we just need that one, you know, to finish the season, and, you know, well, like.
Yeah, and as you say, great to cap it right at the end of the season, having gone close a couple of times along the way. You mentioned there about those big wins and how important it is. Did Champions Day was obviously a day the two previous years when you hadn't ridden those Group 1 winners, but you had been crowned champion jockey. Last season you weren't crowned champion, but that early start that you had to the season, and when you suddenly realised that you really are focusing on quality now, did that kind of change your mindset for the season ahead, that you weren't necessarily going to be going all out for the championship as you had done for the couple of previous years?
Yes, and, you know, and I had in my mind, before I go for the title, I have to be well ahead all the way. And I was never ahead all the way, you know, and I was always running behind. And, you know, when you've been abroad, when you come back and you have to start fresh every year. I know I had a nice job to look after, you know, and they've been looking after me. So I was very concentrated in my job on where my horse is going to run, you know, than go around chasing winners, small winners and big winners. So, you know, and I put in my mind in the beginning of the season, I only think about the title from halfway if I am there about chasing the leader, you know. But I was never in the position to chase the leaders, like, you know, I was always running in the first 4, first 5. So, but I was very happy what I was doing. I was getting plenty rides, and I was delivering winners, you know, the way I should probably deliver. But I was chasing more the big numbers than the quantity. Like.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a natural progression for a lot of people. That championship, striving for a championship, really does take it out of you, I suppose. And doing it year in, year out, when you're riding internationally as well, isn't something that you can necessarily focus on at the start of the year every year, is it? As you say, maybe you pick it up at halfway. If you're in with a chance, you think, I'll give it a go now.
Yes, because I think, you know, when you're retaining, if you go straight away, say, I want to win the title, you can do. Don't think you cannot do it, you know. But takes a bit off your mind, and, you know, probably you wouldn't be as much concentrate on your job. So, but I was more concentrate on the job and the horses, get to know the horses, get to know every horse for King Power, than going to ride winners for everybody. If I would have a ride for anybody else, I would try twice as harder than time before. But of course, like I wasn't chasing the title, but I was chasing rides and good rides. I was hoping for good rides in every day, like.
Yeah, exactly. And you did have that bad fall. I mean, I think most of your recent seasons have been injury free, but actually last season you had a spell on the sidelines after it looked a horrible one at Chelmsford.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, was a freaky fall, like in that way, and sometimes you see things like that, but you get away, injury free. But that took a lot of me, like, and I was hurt for a long time, and I recovered quite quick, but I was never back 100%. Last year I was riding, but it's still sore. But thank God now I feel full fit and I'm 100% back. But it was a nasty moment. When you're riding like for 10 years, you never had a finger broken. It's difficult, and but I was pushing myself to back for Champions Day, and I managed to come back a week before, and was all good in the end, like, especially with closing up the season with a big winner. But no, it was a frustrating moment when I had a fall.
Yeah, are you the kind of character, if you hadn't have got back for Champions Day last year, because you said it was quite fine a week before you came back, and then as we've mentioned already, you went back on Champions Day and won that Group 1. If you hadn't have made it back and Don Juan Triumphant had gone and won that Group 1, I know you'd have been pleased for your returned owners and things, but would you have felt a bit of frustration about the whole thing?
Yeah, probably I would. Yeah, I would, because my thoughts go. I was just to win the first Group 1 for King Power. I'd say I hope I can do before anybody else. Like and even like when I was at home, when I was thinking myself, I'd say, it was such a freaky fall, and I'm here now 2 months like outside, again, because like I love to be busy, and I love to ride, and I love to be riding out, and I couldn't do anything, But I would be, but at the same time, I would be very pleased for King Power, and we had a good year last year, and so now I was a light I rolled, but I was always hoping we have a Group 1 winner. I just was one King Power had a Group 1 winner.
Exactly. You spoke there about your love of being busy, your love of riding in races. Let's talk about the early part of your career, I suppose. Where did that interest in horses come from in the first place? Because Brazilians, I know that there's you and Moreira, two of the big names in world jockeys, but I think of footballers when I think of Brazil.
Because race in Brazil is not as exposed as in England or anywhere around the world. It's very high. They don't treat it as a sport. They treat it more as a gambling, or it's not as exposed as football or any other sport. It's a bit high, but we got a lot of other great jockeys. Don't take me wrong, the jockey has most of the winner in the world is from Brazil, Jorge Ricardo. He's the leading around the world,
Is he?
Yeah, if you Google it, you'll be over I think he's nearly 11,000 winners.
11,000. Jorge Ricardo, is it?
Yeah, Jorge Ricardo. Yeah, but it's like they say, maybe around the Europe it's just me at the moment, and up to the top, like you got other like Rouse riding, and I think it's only 2 at the moment riding in England, 2 Brazilian jockeys.
Yeah,
but
go on. Sorry.
Yeah, but
are you a bit surprised that, given the success that you've had, that a few more Brazilian riders haven't come to try their hand in Europe, and specifically Britain and Ireland?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that there's no more people trying, to come across like the Italians, and because I think, for me, England has the greatest horse race in the world. I love to ride here, and I love the people I'm riding for, and it's different. It's very tactical. You have to be a horseman in this country to ride winners, and it's not easy. It's not easy to ride winners in this country. But I'm surprised is no more Brazilian lads trying to be a jockey, because there's plenty around. Work with Brizzops and working as a stable lads and groomings and work riders, and it's plenty around like it.
Yeah, exactly. And as I said, you said you need to be a horseman. It's tactical and all of that. So, where were you riding from a young age? Were you brought up around horses then?
Yeah, I've been brought up around horses. My dad always have horses in the farm, and he used to have quarter horses. And he used to breed 1 or 2 every year, and trying to pass them on. And that's how come my interest for racehorse later on,
And did you decide from a young age that you wanted to be a jockey then?
I didn't really want to be a jockey till I was probably 16, and I went to São Paulo, and a jockey, Silvestre De Sousa, he passed away a couple of years ago. He introduced me to the racetrack. First time he took me to watch races, and I just fall in love and said, that's what I want to do. And he said to me, oh, you got the height anyway. I take you to the racing school tomorrow, and I show you around, see if you like it. So I just, I just fall in love with everything, like pictures and the way the apprentices was doing and the coach. And, I felt just, wow, this is a heaven, I want to be here.
Yeah. So, and how long did you ride in Brazil for then before you came to Britain?
I rolled in Brazil 3 years. I was there for 3 years, I was apprentice, and I learned to be less than 2 years. I was a full jockey, and I rolled as a professional for 1 year, and I moved to Ireland for work experience for Denver 12. And I went to Dubai for a winter, and when I went back to Ireland, I met Dandy Nichols, and he invited me to come to Yorkshire to work for him. So
and I guess that was a big. That was probably the real point that launched you in Europe, wasn't it? Once you got that link up with Dandy, and no one had really heard of you at that point, but suddenly you were riding winners around the north of England.
Yes, and that time I never even had a ride, And when he invited me and said, "I'll come to work for me," and I told him, I said, "No, I'm going back to Brazil." I rolled the horse for him in the car, and he said, "Oh, you should come working for me." And I didn't know anything about Dandy. And he said, "No, come on working for me." And I said, "Oh, I'm going to go back to Brazil." He said, "No, come and have a look at the yard. You might like it. Stay for a couple of months. And if you like it, you can stay." And I said, "No, I'll go back. I'll be back and ride in Brazil." He said, "No, come and have a look. And if you like, I'll give you a couple of spin and see how you get on." And when I moved to Yorkshire, and when I got there, my second day, he asked for my paperwork, and he said, no, we're going to get your license out, and I'm going to give you a few rides. And, he was a man of his word, and he starts putting me open, and I rolled my first winner for him and New Year's Day in Sodal.
Did you?
A horse called Sonny Cantor. He won by about 10 lengths.
Did you get a telling off for winning too far?
I did got told off, yeah.
You're just a bit too keen.
Yeah, I was a bit too keen. I couldn't hold. I didn't do anything on him. I was just staring for the first 3-4 long, and after I just let him go, and he just won very easy.
That's all you do at Studley, isn't it? Just point and shoot.
Yeah, point and shoot. Yeah.
Just stay out of the sand.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a good start. It was a good start, yeah.
So you've got a lot to thank Dandy for. Sadly, no longer with us, but he was some character, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was one of the great men to be around. Like, he always happy and fun about and make us laughing, and he always joking about. But when it come to the job, like for the time, he was very professional. Like, at the same time, he has taught me a lot, and he had given me a lot of advice in the early days. And I think I was there for almost 3 years with him before I went freelance,
And I suppose, because you said there that you you went over there. He kind of had to persuade you to go, and then he said that he would give you rides, and he did. But the fact that you were set to head back to Brazil, where you'd ridden out your claim in a couple of years, which isn't easy to do, I don't think, in Brazil.
No, it's not, because it's a lot of apprentice, and we don't have apprentice race in Brazil. We just have, we face it straight away to the professionals. We ride in maidens, claimants, and class 2. I know we get like 10 races a day, but it's still hard. Like, it's a lot of jockeys around, chasing for rides, so it's not easy. But I lost my claim of that quite quick. So, and when I started competing the professional, I felt I wasn't getting the same rides, So
right. So that's why you came to Ireland in the first place. But having gone through your claim quickly in Brazil, started up as a professional, and then you come to Ireland, and suddenly you're obviously not really getting enough rides, because you're thinking ahead. It must have been on a knife edge. It could have taken a very different course to what it did.
Yeah, but I was very keen to learn. I was very keen to learn, because and when I came for 3 months for experience, and the people was around me was very nice people, like Bob Toller, Raymond Carroll, and and the other people as well in the stable of number 12, and they always was helping me. And and when coming winter time was time to break the babies, like going to Moigla stood, and I was really enjoying, and that taught me a lot. And I told myself, I said, maybe hang on for a bit longer, you learn a bit more, and I started learning English, and I started speaking in English a bit more, and so I started kind of like the place,
Yeah.
And I thought myself, I said, maybe one day I'll have one or couple of rides in here, and will be better, I would never think about the winter race, but I just have a couple of rides and see how. So just have a feel of the grass and see how it goes,
I imagine you found it a bit cold, didn't you?
I was freezing. My first swim was cheese.
I remember you telling me before.
I didn't have enough clothes to put on me when I.
But you mentioned there you were keen to learn. You must have learned a lot, because from that work experience for 3 months in Ireland, that chance meeting with Dandy, and him persuading you to come across this country, 3 years in Yorkshire, and by 2015 you were a champion jockey. You're now a 3-time champion jockey, so you obviously picked it up to go along with the natural talent. What did that first jockey's title mean back in 2015?
Well, that was it was very special, and I don't think any South America jockey has done, from South America. I just was, when I rolled my first win, I was delighted. I said, I can go back home now. I rolled my first win in Europe, But when I win the title, it felt very special. Like, felt very, very special. And I hit the door. I knocked on the door before, like when I lost for Paul Hannigan. So, by, I think it was 4 winners. And I thought, that's it. I said, never happen again, like,
Yeah.
I'll never win, because I tried my best this year and I couldn't win when Paul Hannigan won. And after Richard Hughes won, and Richard Hughes. And, but I just carry on working as hard as I was before, and the opportunity come again. So in 2015, and when I got that to halfway, I said, I'm go for, What I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you won those titles, didn't you, by focusing on going around those smaller tracks sometimes, getting the most rides you could, filling your book with loads of chances. Really, you were getting on fancied horses in every race. But I guess that kind of meant that along the way, you were at some small track when Royal Ascot was on, for example, for a day, and you might come to Royal Ascot for one day, but you weren't there all week like you would be now. Did it ever bother you missing those big days, or were you just driven by winners?
And of course, I was missing the big day, because that's where the jockey loves to be, and the big meetings. It's like a football player. He's like to, if you play football, you like to be playing the Premier, the Premier League. Like, you don't want to go around Wolverhampton, and Newcastle, and just play around the small games. But but at the same time, I was quite happy, because I wouldn't get anything less than a 66-1 shot around Ascot or, on Newmark and the Guineas meeting, and so, and sometimes I would ask myself why I'm not getting on them horses I'm capable to ride, but that's the way it goes, So, and I was quite happy to go around the countryside and trying to pick up a few winners. And when the big boys was busy around Newmark or around Ascot trying to ride the winners.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, and along the way, you weren't just riding a winner a day. You were riding doubles, trebles. I think you had a 6-timer one day across a couple of meetings. What were the highlights of those days when you were? Was the one that stands out as having sort of a load of winners on one day? My particular favourite, by the way, was that 4-timer at Pontefract, where 2 of them were for in the ownership that I've got with my brother and some friends, Big Country and Future Score. That was a good day, but I imagine your highlight was somewhere else.
Yeah, it wasn't. I had 7 times. I had the 7 times before, yes. And I had 9 rides and I had 2 seconds and I had 7 winners, 2 tracks, I think that was my highlights so far in this number of the winners. But, that was a special moment because I always go to Pontefract and I ride winners. And I had, I think, a 6-time at York as well in one day.
Did you?
Yeah. So I was quite good that day. But in Pontefract was very special because I always ride winners out there. And the crowd, every time I ride a winner, I think I have a few falls out there. They cheer me up. And I had, that day was good. It was good. And I was pleased. And when I had a 4-time, and then I think the bookmaker wasn't very happy, but
no, I don't think they were. I don't know if you remember. We thought Big Country had a good chance that day, but Future Scorer you won on as well. I told you that he wasn't fully fit because he wasn't, but you managed to get him to win anyway.
Yeah, no, he tries very hard for me that day. He wants to win as well. So
yeah, he's down in Australia now, doing well. Yeah, talking about you rode a double for us one day as well. Down at Kempton, you'll remember Hackam and Big Country rode the 2 of them, and I'll never forget you walking into the paddock. You'd ridden Hackam and got up in a photo finish from a bad draw, and you got him up right on the line. And you came into the paddock next race, Big Country, and I don't know if this is a confidence you always have, but you looked at us and said, "Well, this should be easier." Can you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember. Well, I remember before we went out to have the talk, and then you'd say, yeah, we had a chance, but the draw is bad. And I told you, let me walk out from the bad draw. I might do something better, might do something good. So we won. And the other horse, we had a good draw, and you told me you had a few pounds in hand, so I just went confident. But that's a good thing of me, I'm never down. I could ride like a 200-1 shot, and I go there and I try my best because I want to win every horse I ride. I want to win.
Yeah,
and I hope I never lose that spirit.
Absolutely, and I suppose you took that spirit of wanting to win, maybe believing that you could win, into one of your big race wins, because that 2015, the first championship, it wasn't full of Group 1s, but there was a Group 1, the Juddmonte International, and it was one of those horses that basically nobody thought could win. Arabian Queen at 100-1.
Yes, and is that something every horse I ride, I believe he can win the race. And the only horse I believe cannot win the race if they were not in the race, But if you're in the race, you got a chance to win. And and that's proof, I go there with 100%, give my 100%, and that day the horse gives to me 150%, and I give my 100%. Probably nobody believed she could win, but the trainer believed she had a chance. And it's a great thing when the jockey handed the saddle to the trainer and he said, "We here with a chance. Don't think we are 150-1 or 100-1. We have no chance. We in the race. We got a chance." And I told Mr. Ellsworth to say, "No worries, she's gonna get 100% right, and I'm here to win too." I was happy if she finished place, but I rolled to win the race, and she tried her heart out to win the race. So,
you also rode everyone else to sleep that day, didn't you?
Well, I wasn't. I knew how fast I was going, and I knew the lead horse was going a bit too fast. So I had to say, "I'll wait for Frankie. He will come soon." But at the same time, I was riding a race, and I have in the back of my mind, I said, I'm carrying less weight than him. And I have a full of a horse here from 4 furlong out. I'm going to stretch her, and she's going to keep going. So that's what she did, you know. But one point, he had me, and she just come back and spit the nose on the line.
Yeah, tough filly, wasn't she? Arabian Queen. Was, yeah. I suppose she was a Group 1 winner. She was tough. She was good, obviously. She probably isn't the best one you've ridden. I would say, in my opinion, a couple of years before that, 2 Group 1s, a Lockinge and a Champion Stakes on Far for Godolphin. Would he be about the best horse you've ridden?
So far, yes. So far, he'll be one of the best one. And he was a good horse. And he was a bit fragile to train, you know. But, you know, he has finished second behind Frankel. And, you know, and our celebration, he always there, and I think he was with him a few times. But he was a good horse, and he could work in the morning 6 furlong. He give you the same feeling. He could go a mile and he give you the same feeling, he just was a nice horse to ride. And I had a great moment when I rode him, win the Lockdown and the big race at Ascot as well. So that was very good. And I'm sure Saeed as well is very pleased to train him,
Yeah, definitely. He was, as you mentioned, Saeed bin Suroor trained him. He was a Godolphin horse. You won a Dubai World Cup for Godolphin as well on African Story. I think that was in 2014. And at that point, you were the retained rider, I think, for Godolphin, weren't you? But that was a job that you lost. Was that quite difficult to take? Obviously, you bounced back with a championship the next season. But was it quite tough, having worked your way into that position, to lose the job?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was in Godolphin for 3 years. And, when you feel you're doing nothing wrong, and Saddle did say, we're going to bring the jockey in, but we like to have you. I'd say, I don't think I'll be around. If somebody come in to take my spot, I better go on my own, And that's what I did, when the contract finished. And I just went to freelance again.
So is that how it was then? You had the choice to stay on as Godolphin alongside someone else, but you decided that it was either you or no one.
Yes, Saeed always say, I like to have you around, and and we'll be always riding for you, and but not what I want, I didn't want that. I want to be in demand. I want to be, if I also want to be the stable jockey. I want to have the pick in the stable, but I wasn't have the pick, So, yeah. But I think Saeed was quite happy to have me around and still give me rides. And I still ride it for them every now and then, but obviously they can't get me at the moment, and I can't get the rides I want from them at the moment. So yeah. But I'm quite happy with the job I have anyway. So
yeah, it's a good job. Before you got either of those retainers, you'd built up a really good contact list, and you've ridden for a huge amount of trainers, ridden huge amounts of numbers for various trainers, because everyone wants you in the saddle on their horses. But Mark Johnston is a trainer that you rode a lot of winners for, and he really did support you, didn't he? How did that link up start?
My link with Stas starts from when I went freelance from Dundee's, Yeah. I rolled him a winner in Pontefract, and then I rolled a winner for him in Sodor, and I think it was a mile 6 or 2 mile, and I think I pushed the horse all the way. I did. I can't remember the name of the horse, but I pushed him all the way. And, with the 7s max at the moment, you're not allowed to hit a horse here, but I was really tired. And
He got more than 7.
He only got 7. No, that time.
Back then, surely you were allowed to give him more than 7, weren't you?
Yeah, no, but it was just when the weight rules come. It's not that long. It's about 7 years ago, is it?
How long those rules have been in?
Yeah, about 7 years, 8 years.
So you kept on going.
I was really tired, and I think he phoned Garrett Owen. It was my agent at that moment. And he phoned Garrett Owen and said he'd like to use me more often. And that's how we start Mark Jones using me as a jockey, and just getting a few spare rides. But Mark is more than... He's like a friend to me. I have him as a friend, and He went for my wedding as well, you know, and he's been supporting me from almost day one, like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
you know, I have a soft spot for him and his family. And, you know, he's been supporting me from day one, you know.
Yeah,
He's
which
absolutely
obviously,
delighted.
yeah, he'll always be thankful for that. And your style of riding suits his horses, I suppose. Which other trainers have you particularly enjoyed riding for over the years?
You know, I ride for a lot of trainers in England, and is, you know, and they always give me the heads up on how to ride, and, you know, but it's a couple of ones always leave all down to me. It's like Mark Johnson, Simon Christoph, and the other people as well. Like, you know, I have no favors, you know, how to ride, and even Mick as well. Mick used to be not Mick, Mick Appleby, sorry. And, you know, he gave me a lot of support, and, you know, it's good. It's good. I ride for a lot of trainers, like, you know, it's not really favorite. My favorite is just to ride a nice horse.
Yeah, whoever's got a nice horse to put you on, you enjoy riding for.
Yeah, enjoy. But I like to ride for Mark. It's very easy to ride, very uncomplicated. He lives almost down to the jockey, whatever rides for him. You know, it's not only me, like Joe, Franny, and the other jockeys riding for him as well. Like, he all leave everything down to the jockey. So that's your job. My job is done, you know. Mr. Han as well. You know, and now it's a lot of Andrew Bowden, and, you know, Mick as well. Mick, Charlie Appleby. So, you know, it's
good answer, Silv. Don't single anyone out. You don't want to upset anyone.
No, but you know, Mick is very good. You know, he's when I rode for him for a season, and he always tell me about the horse, and every now and then he kicks off, but that's every trainer does it.
Exactly. And in recent years, you've been spending the winter out in Hong Kong, haven't you? How have you enjoyed that?
Oh, it's brilliant, and I've been having a really good times in Hong Kong, and I think I've been in 4 times now in Hong Kong, 4 winters. I spent 4 winters in Hong Kong. Been very good. Been getting plenty support out there. I managed to win a big race, you know, the richest race in Hong Kong as well. So now it's a horse called Glorious Forever for Frankie Law, and now I've been getting plenty support out there. It's good, you know. It's you know, I love out there, and I love to ride, and I love the way they're running the race, and it's very professional, and it's tough. It's tough to get in the top horses because it's a small place. It's a small number of trainers, small number of jockeys, but it's tough, competitive. You know, it's very competitive.
Yeah, you mentioned there you won the Hong Kong Cup on Glorious Forever. That was, I think, back 2018-19, the stint that you had there, and 44 winners in that particular spell. I mean, for a rider coming in on a short-term contract, that kind of level of success is pretty much unheard of, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the record was Christophe Soumillon. He rolled 36, you know, in that particular short time. Yeah. And I rolled 44. Everyone was surprised, and, you know, I rolled so many wins in a shorter time. Just show when you have the support, you can do it, you know. But I was having doubles, and, you know, I think I even had trebles out there. I think I had a 4-time one day. So Joe and Zach was scratching his heads, and if I was going to stay longer or not. I told them, no, I'm going back home to England. But it's tough, you know. It's very tough. But when you get a support, when you get enrolling, looks like everybody wants you, you know.
Yeah.
So no, but it was good. It was good, and I was again in Hong Kong this year, but I was only for 6 weeks, so I didn't have as many winners I had in the previous year. But was still good. I still had a good time out there.
Yeah, and it's very competitive racing, isn't it? It's not easy to ride winners out there.
No, it's not. It's not. And even like when the trainers know you come and go, and, you know, they give you a support, but, you know, it's hard to get on the top ones. You know, the top horses.
Yeah, over here, obviously, you're well known to all the trainers and the punters as well. You're well known and liked for your positive riding style. And as a punter, I think probably 2 of your biggest assets are that ability to get horses out quickly from the stalls and into a good position, but then at the other end of the race, getting horses to respond for you. Do you agree that they'd be two of your biggest strengths?
And I think I feel very strong when I'm riding. I feel like I can push a bit longer, you know. I think it's a big help when you don't have to waste, when you don't have to go to the sauna. And I have my breakfast in the morning, and I have a bit of pig before riding, and so I have my dinner. So, and my weight is always the same, like, I'm very looking that way. And I can ride a race from the front, from the back, and is one thing I'm very, very alert where the pace is, and I think that's very important. If you're telling me to drop a horse out, and if there's no pace, I'd have been in front and sit last.
Yeah. So you ride to your feel of how fast you're going and judge it from that.
Yeah, it's a lot of people crucify me, and even like on the Twitter and Facebook, I write to me, I'm not as good as probably I get in the rides because I ride too many horses from the front. But if I'm with you, if it's a lesser race from here to the car park, you don't want to drop him behind me and pass me. You want to be drop in front and go. And if it's a slow pace, I'd rather be in front and sit last.
Well,
but
you win more races from the front and the back anyway, Silv. Everyone does.
Yeah, and and when you travel so much, like, and I've been in India, I've been, I Dubai and Saudi Arabia, and I rode a lot of big winners around them countries, like, and Hong Kong. So, and I keep myself very busy and fit. So, I think when I come back to this country, I'm already on the pace, like, mind-wise, I'm already alert what's going on, and I keep track on the form, on the horses, and so I try to keep myself always busy that way. So, and I think when you spend the time abroad as well, and you learn, you're always learning, the pace, you go in the race pace, and I like to ride the horse, how the horse wants to be happy and not pulling.
Yeah, definitely. Right, we're just about done, Sil, but I'm going to fire some quick fire questions at you, if that's all right.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Let's start with, what was your first ride? What was it? Where was it? And when was it?
My first ride and race was in Brazil, and a filly called On Va Vite. It's a bit difficult, but was in Brazil, and over 5 furlong, I finished third. I should have won.
Right, should have won. And when did the first winner come? What was it? Where was it? And when was it?
Was in Brazil with the same filly after, I think, 2 months.
2 months. So you put it right. After finishing third, should have won. 2 months later, you did.
Yes. Yeah. So that was my first win in Brazil, and everything starts from there.
And your first winner in Britain was? You told us already.
Yeah, I told you already. It was Sonny Canton Soto. So he just
for Dandy Nichols.
Yeah, for Dandy Nichols. He just ran away with me.
Which jockey do you admire the most?
Wow, well, it's a lot. And I used to really enjoy watching Mickey Nine ride. Obviously you got Frankie, you name it, all the superstars like Georgie Ricardo and Johnny Morton. And, I love to watching them jockeys ride in the big races. And I was very lucky to see them alive riding and, cheering for them. So, they stopped riding now, like Johnny Morton and Mickey Nine, but Frankie's still around, and, he ride as good as ever. But, Mickey Nine was the most, enjoy watching riding.
Yeah. Who do you think's the most underrated rider in Britain?
Wow. I like Paul Moreno, and I think he's a really good jockey. Maybe he's just not been getting the opportunities he should get it, but I think he's a really good jockey and tactical wise, and he rides a race from the front and from the back, so it's really good.
Yeah. Favorite race course to ride at?
York.
York.
Yeah.
Favourite horse?
Far.
Best ride you've ever given a horse?
Glorious Forever in Hong Kong.
Right. Yeah. Either the worst ride or the ride where you do something different. Maybe that first one in Brazil.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, well, I didn't do much when she went, but I just have to stare it. Maybe Hakan.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I love when they come to me and tell me, "Oh, you can't win from that." You know, I love when they tell you can't win from that draw. Is it possible? And I proved them wrong. I have proved trainers wrong a few times.
Wrong along the way.
Yeah.
And what's been the highlight of your career so far?
I think, I think Dubai World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dubai World Cup was, and it's a race, like, it's a big every year is there, like, and the people, like, want to win, financial-wise and prestige-wise, and, it's a race. I think every jockey dream to win as well one day.
Yeah. And before you go, Silv, just if you can, for the Winners Enclosure followers, putting you on the spot a little bit here, but maybe one or two horses to follow for the season ahead, horses that you think are going to be winning plenty of races?
Fox Premier.
Fox Premier?
Yeah, and Fox Chirp. I love them two horses. I think a lot of them, and I thought this year going to be the year for them.
Fox Premier, what was the second one?
Fox German.
Fox German.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So there's two horses for people's trackers. Silv, thanks very much for joining us on In the Saddle With. Absolute pleasure as always to speak to you. Sounds like you need to go and sort those kids out.
Yeah, so the sun's come out today. Meant to be a nice day. I hope the missus let me off to do a bit of garden.
Fire up the barbecue, Silv.
That's later on.
Thanks a lot for joining us, Silv.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.